Thank you.
Okay, you're ready to go.
All right. Cool. So we will call this meeting to order at 4:04 p.m. today, um, May 12th. So, if I can get a roll call, Christine,
Here, MK Sadiq,
present.
Ann Hobrich, Nikki Smith,
Present. Sorry, I couldn't get off mute.
no worries, Pamela Garvey,
Present.
Kayla McCoy, Dan Gunther.
Here.
You have a quorum. Please proceed.
All right. So it looks like we have a new member of the task force. Welcome, Dan Gunther. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
All right. The main business that we have to take care of today, we don't have an approval of any minutes, anything like that, but we do have the swearing in ceremony, which is set for Wednesday, May 21st at 6 o'clock p.m. It'll go 6 to 8. And right now we're in the process of planning that event. I sent an email out to you all to the task force earlier, sans Dan. I have to add you at some point. But bottom line to it is that in the email, I just wanted to just begin the conversation about what the actual program will look like. We have a broad outline that basically starts us at a doors open at 6 o'clock and hard stop at 8 o'clock, but that 6:30 to 7:30, I see that as the prime programming time. And that is something that obviously Paisha will help shape. Additionally, the task force is welcome to shape what that looks like. Ann Harbrick had reported that that our previous poet laureate, Jane Ellen Iber, is unavailable. She has some personal things that she needs to attend to. So without putting her personal business out there, she just needed to attend to those things. We totally understand. So she may not be in attendance. Or it seems that she won't be in attendance. She would like to send a statement to help commemorate the moment. And there's a question as to how that will be addressed, but we can take that up shortly. But the bottom line to it, it's the program. So while I don't necessarily want to massage the program in this space, given that the people who will be participating in shaping the program aren't all here, I do want to acknowledge that that conversation was kickstarted today, and the hope is that we will land on something that is satisfying for everyone so that it is as smooth as possible on Wednesday, May 21st. That said, I do want to open up some space for initial comments or any sort of thoughts about the swearing in, what we believe should be included in that experience, logistically, programmatically, whatever the case may be. Any thoughts? Anything anyone would like to share? And don't feel any pressure. Go ahead. Go ahead, Pam.
Yeah, I just had a couple of thoughts. I mean, obviously, Paisha's gonna read some of her poetry, I assume. What about also somebody read a poem from each of the previous poet laureates?
That is a fantastic idea. What we would do in that instance is probably contact the representative of their respective estates, um, to see if they could be present, as well as read a poem from each, without stepping on Paisha's toes. Paisha, you can feel free to either weigh in here or via email. But bottom line to it, I think that would be great to have that. And in that same kind of way, if we're going to have Jane Ellen Iber's voice represented in the form of a statement, most likely, to have the voices of Dr. Michael Castro as well as Shirley LaFleur present in that space. I think that'd be great. Thank you, Pam. And did you have something else, Pam, that you wanted to mention?
I just wanted to make sure the task force all saw Paisha's email earlier today.
Okay.
Um, I, it was my understanding last week that we wanted to schedule it for next week,
Yes.
which is quite a quick turnaround time. I mean, I think we
Yeah.
can make it happen, but it would be helpful, I think, at least from our office's perspective, to feel like the task force and the poet laureate were aligned in terms of um, a date that works well for everyone so that people feel prepared and ready to go.
Okay. That's fair. Let's go ahead and delve into it. Did everyone get a chance to review it? If not, certainly take a moment to do so. Um, Christine, could you forward that to Dan? Okay. Just to make sure we're all on the same page. Okay. All right.
Received.
Yes. And certainly we can discuss it. So after everybody has a moment, we can just open discussion specifically on the point raised, which is uh, that the swearing in ceremony might feel a bit rushed, that we need to maybe think about pausing and providing enough time to make sure that we have everything planned out and that everybody feels comfortable with the planned event. So I'm certainly open to that. I think the urgency I felt is that I'd want Paisha to be able to get underway with her activities, and that we could, get it done. Um, but I'm completely, but I hear that, and I want to make sure that I make space for creating a timeline that everyone can feel comfortable with, and that will allow this to be uh, a strong opening event for the poet laureate. So I'm certainly open to that. Again, once everyone has had an opportunity to read, if there are any initial comments or thoughts, essentially this would be us pushing back the ceremony so that we'll have an adequate amount of time to like plan and put everything in place. So that would be the outcome. And again, I'm certainly open to however this needs to proceed. And thank you, Paisha, for naming those concerns so that we can be responsive.
May I speak?
Oh, please go right ahead.
Sorry, I'm not on camera. I'm operating a vehicle. Um, just, I appreciate the urgency that was put behind getting a super close date, and I have full faith and confidence that if that's the date, then we will make it happen. However, not under duress or stress or with unknowns, particularly if other people are going to be involved. So, for example, I've already asked Dr. Redmond if he would speak, and he said yes. And I've talked to Lila LaFleur about speaking on behalf of Shirley LaFleur, and she said yes. Um, and I did that without really having clarity about what even my role or responsibility in this process is. And perhaps that was moving a little too quickly without having discussed any of this with you all. And
Mhm.
so it so kind of feels like there's different moving parts. Like I didn't know that someone was speaking to Jamie and that she couldn't be there. I did talk to Janie about like social media stuff. I had mentioned to her about speaking, but I didn't have a date yet. So there seems to be just a lot of different moving parts moving towards the same end, but I'm not clear that all those parts are in the same orbit. So I wanted to make sure that roles are defined, we know who's doing what, and also like the official stuff is done. Like I still haven't seen a press release, and that is a little bit troubling to me, particularly because people keep asking like, well, where's the announcement? Or I was in conversation with someone from an institution here, and we were having a discussion about my participation in something, and this person doesn't know me, but they know people that do know me. And their response was, well, I don't know her. And like I hear the poet laureate stuff, but I can't find anything about it. And so even just like what things that may seem really small, when someone Googles the poet laureate, if Janie's name is still coming up and we're doing the coronation, it doesn't look like we have our stuff together. And I'll also say, this is the last thing I'll say is, you all might be used to this. This is very weird to me, doing an intimate planning process publicly. So also there are things that I do want to share, but I don't feel it is appropriate or necessary to share them in this way. So I might share them in email, but I don't even know what the rules are for that. So just wanting us to, yes, be on the same page, but know what the roles are and know what the, I guess, what the protocols are, or at least maybe helping me to understand them because I am unfamiliar with this.
I can clarify a couple of those things that would fall under our office's responsibility. The Poet Laureate is a city affiliated via ordinance position, and so it is subject to all of the sunshine law requirements that any other entity, the board or the city of St. Louis has to follow through on. So we're not able to do many things privately behind closed doors. We should be doing them in public meetings. That being said, as long as you don't have a quorum of the task force members, you are able, it's not like you're not allowed to talk to people informally about things. We just can't be having formal discussions that should be part of a meeting behind closed doors. The other piece of it is we are waiting in our office. We need to have your bio and headshot, and we will update the website accordingly. And we're definitely wanting to do the announcement, but we did not want to do a press release about you being the poet laureate until we had the date of the swearing in ceremony, because you don't officially take on that role until you are sworn in.
All right. Any thoughts from you, Paisha, regarding what Christine just laid out?
No, that's fine. I have I just got the headshots on Friday. I will send that when I get to my destination.
Perfect. Perfect. All right. And just as a matter of like event logistics, to me, that sounds about right. You know, like when we put out the press release, not only do we make the big announcement, but we also announce the big event that's associated with it. I believe, but you know, like most events in St. Louis, is really driven by the network of those individuals who are associated with that event. So while there might be definitely, you know, public interest, I think it's going to be powered a lot by the people who are associated with the task force as well as the poet laureate to be. So so we can kind of figure that out. I'm open to pushing it back, but then that becomes a different conversation. We just have to figure out the logistics and make that work, or we can at minimum, try to get the swearing in completed, which is on the 21st, so that the poet laureate can be about her business and just kind of move forward. I kind of lean towards that. Like let's get the official work done, and we can do even more glorious events down the road. But let's get the official work done where the swearing in happens. But that's my thought. I'm completely open though. Anybody else want to weigh in or any thoughts about that? Okay. Yeah. Oh, and now we got Ann. But yeah, so just to kind of, catch us up a little bit. Oh, and to your point about speaking with Iber, it was just so Ann Harbrick had offered. Or rather, I asked Ann Harbrick if she could just be in communication with Jane Iber, just so that we can have some sort of flow back and forth. And so the personal matter regarding Iber, which I did not, just so that you know, and I didn't really get into the details of it, but the personal matter with Iber was disclosed, I think, was it like last night? You sent me was it yesterday or something like that? And so bottom line to it, this is all new, and we're just trying to figure out how all the pieces would come together. Ultimately, it's working towards the same end, which is making sure that we have representation at the swearing in, at the induction, um, so that it feels like a passing of the torch. It feels like there's continuity, and it feels official, right? And you turned off your mic. You turned on your mic, so go ahead if you want to weigh in.
Oh, no, yeah, it was yesterday afternoon. I was talking with Janie, and then she had asked me when the swearing in would take place, and because she hadn't heard anything. I mean, she had heard from Paisha.
Hmm.
And I let her know when it was, and she was like, "Oh, rats, that's the day that she's having eye surgery." I don't feel like I'm talking out of school saying eye surgery.
Okay.
Um, and and I said, well, let me talk with the committee and see if there's a way for you to be present, whether we can, like, you make a recorded statement and then, but I know it's in the rotunda and that can be tough in terms of sound. And I said, or if you write a statement and then your statement is read, I think that would be good if you cannot be there. Because I also know um, that Janie feels as if, she became poet laureate when the pandemic happened. So she was never able really to, like, do everything that she had planned on doing during the official time of her poet laureate service.
Yeah, that's fair and fine. So again, we can again we so right now, and part of the conversation is, um, do we push back the ceremony to accommodate, or do we forge ahead, have the event so that there's a swearing in, so that the poet laureate can begin her work. So that's the question. That those are the tensions, I think, right there. Do we forge ahead, square in, move forward, or do we push it back, forestall, swearing in the official work until we can so that we can have enough time to plan an event that everybody can feel good about. So, but I'm good either way. I don't want my influence to or my presence to like influence the direction, but I'm good either way. Go ahead, Pam.
Yeah, so I'm just wondering, I mean, Pacia sounds like you have a really good plan here. Like you contacted some people who'd be wonderful speakers. Um, I think, if we need a little more time to make it, the ceremony that you think is the best it can be, I don't have a problem with that. And I guess my question would be like, do we have an idea of how much time would be needed? I did that just wasn't, maybe I missed that in the email. I just wasn't clear on that. Um,
Fair question, Paisha. About how much time would you think we should allot?
For more than a week. I don't have an answer to that because I don't know specifically like what we are doing. Um,
Hmm.
this is this something basic like I read a poem, somebody says some words, I put my hand on the thing and say I'll be a good poet laureate and we go, then we don't need any time. But if we're talking about something that's more involved, that involves reaching out to other people and um, I would like I would like at least a full 2 weeks of solid like planning. Like if we're gonna do it on Wednesday, like everything has to start now. Like we need confirmations of who's gonna speak. We need whatever the things are. We really need to have those in my opinion, my humble opinion, um, like solidified and confirmed today, tomorrow. Whatever the if I'm making the flyer, I guess, and pushing that out, then I need to like make sure that I'm doing that on my end. If there are other things that are going to happen there, performances or whatever the thing is. I was speaking with Laya about how her mother's ceremony went, and apparently she planned that. From what I understand, she mostly planned that with the help of Reed's office. And they like did a thing beforehand in the chambers with the aldermen, and then there was like this room where she received people and like whole big old production, right? If it's something like that, then I don't want to try to do that in like a week. But if we're thinking it's going to be just something really basic, which is not my preference, but I also am not the sole controller of this entire thing, and we are working collaboratively. And so I would say 2 weeks, but that's based on what two additional weeks based on what that programmatic element is going to be. Who else is going to be involved? Who do we need confirmation from? Um, that kind of thing. I mean, and I'd like to have a little more time so I can get my family here who doesn't live in town, don't live in the Midwest.
I'd be happy to offer up a suggestion that might work well for everyone. We could have you sworn in with our register in the city of St. Louis, just to make sure that you're like formally recognized, and then choose a date to have a celebration. Like that happens at City Hall all the time. Alderman, the mayor, everybody gets sworn in somewhere, and then they have like like a celebratory swearing in front of a crowd at a different time. So I think that's something, if there's a sense of urgency because it's been a month and we want you to be able to start your work, we can, you can come down tomorrow. I'm kidding, but anytime we can arrange basically for you to get sworn in, and then we can do something more celebratory once we have time to plan it to do it well.
So Christine, with that, if she was officially sworn in without the ceremony, but then what does that mean for the official press release and the communication of that? Would that then have to wait to the celebratory swearing in, or could, once she's officially sworn in, we could release a press release stating that, and then kind of gearing up towards that other ceremony?
Yeah, I think we could do the latter. I think it would be really good to have the date for the celebration planned, to say, hey, Taisha was sworn in as the Poet Laureate for the city of St. Louis today. Stay tuned for details on a celebration of this role and poetry in St. Louis on such and such date.
I agree
And
with that
things
point.
like, yeah, like the stuff for social media and the press release and all that, our office is planning on drafting and running by everybody that's on this call for approval.
Yeah. And the only reason why I want to just kind of second that point is I don't know. I mean, I think I do a fair job of following the news media. The news media, the coverage has changed in terms of the level of coverage. So I feel as though we want to put out as much important information at once so that because I don't know how interested the news media might be. So we want to put out as much information as possible at one time. So if we can just secure the date, however the swearing in happens, but if we can secure the date for the celebration, for the event, that will give us perhaps the biggest push. It looks like if we were looking at maybe 2 weeks out or maybe 3 or so weeks out, that we might land in early June. If that's possible, but we can look at that period of time, lock down a date. That way we can move forward. And as soon as we can lock down a date, however the swearing in occurs, that's fine. But like it's the public event part that I think needs to be fully addressed. So if we can do that, that'd be great. And again, that would be my suggestion that we wait until we have all the relevant details so that we can maximize coverage of this event as well as just maximize coverage of the Poet Laureate.
Yeah, so, and I'm also, kind of I agree with that. I'm also wanting to balance that with Paicia's earlier concern of she's having conversations and, it hasn't been officially announced. So I'm trying to figure out how do we support her in that way. Given that her official duties don't start until she's sworn in, but say she's sworn in, like you said, tomorrow, how do we support communication of that and also be cognizant of the short attention span of our media and the people around it? Yeah.
That's fair. I think honestly, as soon as Paisha's headshot and bio um gets sent to Green's office, what ends up happening is that we'll update the website, and then that becomes the official like confirmation that we have this poet laureate. So if anybody needs to see it, that's when the SEO begins. That's when the thing that's Googleable or or discoverable begins. However, the press release, which it's a different animal. It's in our media landscape, without being critical, has changed quite a bit. And so, from even Dr. Castro's time. So I think we kind of have to do all these things at once in order to maximize attention. So, but I suppose, right, Christine, we could just have something on the website that says this is official, this is done. But then when we nail down the public celebration and we put that into the press release, well, all those things are already being placed. The updated web page for the poet laureate will have the eventually we'll have the date for it, but those things can kind of work in tandem.
Yeah, I mean, our office is happy to do whatever the task force recommends.
Okay. All right. So let's go back to Nick's point. Do we want to just go ahead and bang out a press release that simply states that patient Elaine Anderson is the fourth poet laureate for the city of St. Louis, and then whatever swearing in information is there, yada yada yada. Or do we want to pull together like a full package where we also name the date for the celebration in addition to the fact that she's been sworn in? I'm completely open to either one of those scenarios.
Yeah, I was thinking at least we can if we can nail the date like now, so she can get sworn in, and then the official ceremony or the celebratory ceremony, if we could nail the date of that. And I guess that requires much more conversation than I'm probably aware of, but I think the sooner we can nail the date, then it can look like a save the date. It could be
Right.
the here she is official announcement. It's updated on the website, save the date for the ceremony, and then the details of that, the time and place and who's involved. The more programmatic things can be outlined as we get closer, but it's just a thought.
No, I think that's a good one.
I agree.
Yep. Can we? So, Christina, I don't know logistically how we can pull that together, but if we can land on a date, that'd be great
When you say land on a date, do you mean for the
for the
celebratory
celebration.
event?
Yep, for the
Yeah, so
celebration.
I think it would be helpful to get likely some dates, like the first 2 weeks of June, perhaps, that don't work for people. Because I have 3 check marks that I have to kind of go through. I have to make sure that the rotunda is available. I have to make sure that there's extra staff from the marshal's office to support that, and that there's not an event that the treasurer's office is using in the parking lot in the evening for something else, or it will be a complete nightmare. So as long as we can get a date that works well for most of us, um, or a couple of those options, I can run those by the special events office here in the city.
So we're looking at the week of June 2nd and the week of June 9th. I guess
Correct.
everyone could look at calendars and just maybe eyeball it.
Yep.
And
Paisha,
I
I know
will let
you're
you know from
driving.
I happen to be out of town from June 5th through the 9th.
Okay.
I think it would be tricky to find somebody
Yeah,
to support at the level I have been.
yeah.
No. So if you're gone, then it's not happening. Let's
Yeah, so we're looking
so
at
so
June
maybe
11, 12, 13.
yeah, so second, third, fourth, or like Nick said, anywhere from the 10th through the 13th. Second through the fourth or the 10th through the 13th.
So I'm looking good. Again, I know Paisha, you're driving, but just offhand, do you know if you're traveling or have anything going on those dates? You're on mute, love. I don't know if you're talking to us.
Sorry. Okay. Can you repeat those dates, please?
Yep, so we are looking at June 2nd, 3rd, or 4th, and then June 10th through the 13th.
And we don't know if this will be a day or an evening.
This will be evening.
Oh, evening. I will make those work. Mm-hmm.
So any of those dates could work for
Yeah,
you?
I will. Yes, I will make them work.
Okay.
Okay, does anyone else know if you have any conflicts?
I will be in residency in Vermont the month of June, so it wouldn't matter what date it was.
Got it.
And
And,
then I'll be out of pocket June 11th through the 15th.
okay, so we're looking at the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th, or the 10th.
Yes. Yep.
Or maybe let me double check and make sure I'm here the 10th. Hang on. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, it looks like I'll be leaving the 10th. So
Okay,
we'll just
so
go for that first week.
second, third, or fourth.
Yep. So I'm good on those 3 days.
Yep.
Yep.
I will send messages right now to the special events office and the treasurer's office, and they usually get back to me pretty quickly.
Okay. All right. Well, it sounds like we have the workings of a plan. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Nick, for facilitating that. So nice. All right. What else is on the agenda? Because I think once we have the date and Paisha will do her business sending the bio and headshots and such, so that'll be that. That's a separate affair. The only thing that we'll have to work out is the programmatic stuff. And once we have the new date, I'll send out a new email regarding that. We can start ironing out what the program looks like. I'm so glad that Patient's been in contact with Walaya, which represents Shirley LaFleur. You've already been in contact with Redmond, the East St. Louis Poet Laureate. What we also need to contact is, and that would be Adelia Parker Castro for Dr. Castro's voice in the matter. So, and I know that you have close friendship there. Paisha, I know that you've been in communication, but let's divvy it up. Who can talk to Adelia?
Hey, MK, I'm
Mhm.
sorry.
Sure,
Before we kind of go into the program piece, I do want to address her official swearing in.
sure.
Can she be official? I guess, Christine, what would need to happen for her to be officially sworn in sometime before that day, so we can kind of get that going as we work through this programmatic pieces?
Yeah.
I honestly probably just need a couple of times that work well for you, Paisha, and then I will run that by the register in the city. So you can just pop down to City Hall anytime to do that, really.
Okay. Can I ask you a couple questions, Christine?
Of course.
Does that does that happen like on the floor or in a little room, or like where's the location that happens?
It just happens at in the registrar's office.
Gotcha.
Alternatively, yeah, we could look at having you come to a board meeting and doing it as a special order of the day.
Okay. I'm curious about like inviting others, like particular family members or something like that. And then how often what am I asking? How often would there be an option to have that happen? Is it like just on Wednesdays at 3 or any day of the week?
No, the register's usually in the office or has somebody who can administer oaths, but yeah, it is very much like sort of a just you're being sworn in, there's no frills.
I got
Um,
you.
yeah, and then the
It's a justice
celebratory
of the
things.
peace swearing in. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and you can also, patient, if you want to wait until June to be sworn in and do everything at once, you're welcome to do that as well. I think we're all just wanting to make sure that we're supporting you the best way we can.
Understood. I appreciate that. I am of the mindset of agreeing with MK as far as like getting the official stuff underway um, so that business can move forward. If it would be okay with you all, can I let you know tomorrow? Because part of me is like, let's just keep the 21st.
When you mean the 21st, it's like your
To go down there and put my
Oh,
hand.
as a swearing in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, if that is all it's going to take is appearing before the register. But can I let you all know tomorrow, please?
So yeah, I'm sure. Yes. One quick note. So the 21st, so that we're all on the same page, that was partly the celebration, but with the swearing in, it wouldn't require a 6 to 8, time frame. That's just something that you can work out directly with Christine. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yes.
Cool, cool. That's all. Like that is just logistical. I know it doesn't sound as exciting, but that is just straight logistics right there. Just getting that part done. The only reason why I brought up talking to Adelia is because I know right now we have Ann and Paisha on the same call, and so that we don't have two people reaching out to her at once. If somebody could agree to just contact her and make the official ask, then that'd be great. So Paisha,
I'm ha oh,
Ann, okay, you got it,
I'm
Ann.
happy to, yeah, I'm happy to do that.
Okay, cool. So Ann has
And I
been
agree with Paisha that if Adelia doesn't want to, then we can ask Jomo because he's here.
okay. Perfect, perfect. Um. Any other notes? I think then we're well underway. So we'll begin. We'll continue to do some program planning. Christine will let us know about which date in June works best for the celebration. And of course, Paisha and Christine will talk about setting aside some time to just get the swearing in done. Uh, we know that what's forthcoming is a press release and, of course, the updated web page. So we'll have all those things kind of working at the same time. And I'm super excited about that business being done. So hopefully everything is feeling good to people. We've gotten a few things sorted out and in public. And you know why that's useful? It's because the next person will have a record that they can go back to and say, "Oh, that's how. Oh, okay." And that's important. I think it's important. So many things get done in ways where we don't necessarily know how they get done, so we get a chance to kind of have this big window while we make this sausage. Go ahead, Christine.
I didn't want to forget to mention, I believe I sent an email to everyone, but Clerk Terry Kennedy, who has been involved in this process in the past as an alderperson and as the clerk, did offer to help the task force plan. So please feel free to reach out to him, or happy to be a go-between, because I'm sure he likely has some really helpful advice from how this has worked in the past.
Absolutely. And just so that you know, Christine, I did. So I sent out an email that was to Paisha and Clerk Kennedy, as well as CC the task force and you minus Dan, so Dan can get involved in those conversations at this point. But I wanted to keep it directed to Paisha and Clerk Kennedy, just so that we can, so that they know that they have, let's just call it an important voice in how we shape the proceedings. so that we're all on the same page. Obviously, all of us are weighing in. I'm not speaking for anyone. I'm just speaking. So anybody who wants to kind of weigh in on the process and further shape it. But I do want to do one thing, just as an event. I want to keep it tight. I want to keep it from 6:30 to 7:30. All right. And so that means 6 o'clock doors open, 6:30 the program begins, 7:30 it ends. If there's some overage, then so be it. But we have a hard stop by 8 o'clock. I think that's a 2 hour window for people to kind of be present, to love on Paisha and to love poetry, but we don't necessarily have to be there for hours. Yeah. Because I've been in situations like that. It's unnecessary. We can just celebrate and be done. What else is on the agenda? I want to make sure that we get all that stuff done.
I just wanted to report back. I had reached out to the city councilor's office about some questions that came up at the last meeting. And so just wanted to let everybody know that in terms of outside organizations providing in-kind or monetary contributions to support the work of the Poet Laureate, there is a way. It would just be basically like a memorandum of understanding between the city and the Poet Laureate, and we are able to utilize the city councilor's office to draft any of those. So if that's something that the task force is interested in exploring, we can get a meeting with the city councilor's office on that. And then Barb Burkett is the attorney I spoke with there, and she said that she'd be happy to come and discuss some of the more not complicated, but complex issues with having a personal email versus a city issued email and social media accounts, things like that. When Paisha's actually representing the city and when she's not. If you get a sunshine request, someone's gonna have to go through your personal email versus using a city issued email address where that would just it would only be city related issues. So I think Paisha, you could probably schedule a meeting with her individually. We could have her come into a meeting to discuss whatever your preference is there.
I mean, hearing you explain it in that way, just take the city email.
Okay, great. And then I know you had also, the task force, and you had expressed interest in social media accounts and the ability possibly for that to be passed down from person to person in the future. And so I think that's something that we are able in our office to assist with as well.
Yes. I'm sorry, were you finished?
Yep, thank you.
Yeah. So one of the things, I had a conversation with Janie. Janie doesn't remember the login information because, Mike Powers set that up way back in the day. Mike Powers, the email address that he set that up with, he's not sure if it's still active. So he is doing some investigating to see if he can find, because Janie said she never changed the logins or anything. She just never logged out. So every day when she's been posting her poetry for a day, she just goes in and it's just there. And I thought about like scheduling a Zoom, we can go through it. And so Mike is helping to figure that out. But I also need to determine how much time I'll dedicate to that before we say maybe we just start a new one. Because that was 2015, I think, when that was set up. So we'll see. Because that is the only active St. Louis Poet Laureate or even established social media account right now that I'm aware of.
And that's Facebook, right?
Facebook, yes.
I feel like there's just a button you push to make someone an administrator. I feel like that's the thing.
Yes, but the thing is,
Mhm.
Janie doesn't know where that
That's
button
right.
is.
That's
And
right.
so,
Right.
but the other thing is it may require sometimes when you do that, you have to log back in.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's fascinating
Yes.
how they make it so hard for you to do stuff like this, but so easy for your identity to be stolen through the same means. I don't know.
It's quite a commentary. I think once we figure that piece of it out, let's have the president's office be the official password manager. Um, kind of kind of go from there. But all right. Any other business? Any other announcements? Cool. It seems like the only thing that we really need to do at this point is, I do want to allow, since you're here, patient, if you have any updates that you want to share, any thoughts before we go to any other announcements and move on to adjournment. Anything from you, patient?
Um, Not yet. I want to say yes and not yet. I will share that I've been working with Erin over at the Poetry Center, thinking about some big picture ideas and bringing some specificity to theme and what that looks like over the 2 years. Erin is incredibly busy, but she has been extremely helpful in making time to help me put some shape to some things. So I will share that.
Okay, excellent. And any announcements from the task force? Again, welcome, Dan. I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I think that's all of our business. A tidy 50 minutes, 10 minutes before 5 o'clock. All right. So if there's no other business, then I need a motion for adjournment.
So
All right.
I second.
Second.
Cool. All in favor say aye.
I
Aye.
Hi.
Thank you so much. Eyes have it. Have a good evening, everybody.
Thank you.
thank
Thank
you.
you. Welcome again, Pesha.